With that being said, it is time to dive into the main event, the richest race in North America. And I believe it's gone up because last year I believe it was either 6 or 6.5 million. Well, this year, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Classic, $7 million purse. We are going 1.25 miles on the Del Mar Dirt. And before I get into it, obviously the favorite here is not only the best 3-year-old horse in the world, or at least in North America, but maybe the best horse in general, Sovereignty. However, William Mott, I saw an interview, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but a little bit of fever concerns for Sovereignty. Now, apparently they have taken some blood. Everything looks okay. He was eating fine, nothing terribly to be concerned about, but at 6-5 in a field like this, something to keep in mind. Value is going to be an issue for Sovereignty. Has not lost since the Florida Derby all the way back in March. An incredible horse that would not be surprised to see this horse run away from the field into the winner's circle. Underneath that, I have what I believe is we're finally getting it. I believe this is the first time Fierceness will face Sovereignty. I know Fierceness has faced Journalism, it's faced Sierra Leone, it's faced Forever Young, but I believe this is the first time we've seen Fierceness going up against Sovereignty. I really like Fierceness. Todd Pletcher, J.R. Velasquez, Junior Velasquez, a very, very consistent horse. Can win from the front, can win from the back, can win from the middle. I think there's a lot of value in Fierceness. Now, as we continue to kind of build our ticket underneath, it's really hard for me to get away from Sierra Leone. The defending champ of last year, I had her on my ticket in the Breeders' Cup Classic. She went off at 7-1. I really like Sierra Leone. However, really hasn't had a very good year. For her standards. Now, the numbers are there. I get it. But when Sierra Leone has gone head to head with some of the top contenders in this division, like Mindframe and Antiquarian, it hasn't gone well. So despite the numbers being despite the buyer numbers being high, seems like she seems to be second best to a lot of these horses. But it's hard for me to quit a horse like Sierra Leone. Also, Forever Young, the 5 horse. Yes, that name again. Probably the greatest Japanese horse that North America has ever been exposed to. Really, really good year. This year started off in Dubai, ran very well in the Dubai World Cup. Even earlier before that, won the Saudi Cup, which is the richest race in the world. Forever Young, just a paltry $15.7 million in earnings. Keep an eye on Forever Young. Again, we'll really kind of need to get lucky with the break early on. I think this horse wants to be on the lead, but there are going to be a lot of horses that want to be on the lead. Keep an eye on the 6-1 Forever Young. Let me make sure. And then finally, I have 2 finals. Obviously, underneath, you have to keep an eye on Journalism. The only problem with Journalism, it seems like whenever Journalism has gone, very similar to Sierra Leone, whenever Journalism have gone up against Sovereignty or Fierceness, this horse finishes second best. And we got both of them here and plenty of other good horses. 10-1. I'll be honest. I'm probably going to put it on my ticket just because Journalism at 10-1, you'll probably never see that again. But we've seen throughout the year that probably second best to some of the big boys in this race. And finally, outside of Journalism, it is the 10 horse Antiquarian. Obviously, I mentioned that this is a horse that's kind of been able to take care of the mind frames and the Sierra Leones. I really like the value at 15-1 here. An incredible summer and is peaking at the right time in the Jockey Club. Last time out that I believe punched this ticket for Antiquarian. ran a 108 beating Sierra Leone and Files Fall, or that's Phineas Fogg, I believe. But a very, very good value with the 10 horse. Raider Jim, your thoughts on the granddaddy of them all, the Breeders' Cup Classic?
What a race. What can you say about it? Sovereignty. Now, it's interesting because every now and then you and I will say, well, if you saw it on the internet, it must be true. More than one time since this morning, I would see a blurb come up that said Sovereignty has been scratched. But again, I couldn't find anything to validate that. So like, based on what you just said, I'm going with that. If Pletcher says this horse is it Pletcher?
No, it's Mott, William Mott.
Yeah, if Mott says, no, we're good to go. My concern is I also know he's high integrity. If there's the slightest thing wrong with that horse, he's not putting that horse on the track. So what happened? But if Sovereignty runs, Sovereignty's going to win. Who comes in after that? I like Fierceness at 4-1, except Fierceness came in second in this race last year to Sierra Leone, and then took off from November 2nd until May, and then has had kind of a rough time since then. I believe has had 2 trips to the winner's circle, but then had some less than stellar performances mixed in with that. So you kind of makes me wonder, is Fierceness off a little bit? 5 is my horse, the Forever Young out of Japan, at 6-1. Been to the winner's circle 3 out of 4 times since December of last year. This horse is a beast, and this horse is going to come to win. And don't be surprised if Forever Young wins this race if Sovereignty pulls out. Could even give Sovereignty a run if Sovereignty's a little bit under the weather. I'd like to think Baeza could pull magic at 15-1. You had your 15-1 at who was it? The 10. Antiquarian, the 10 horse. Yeah, and my 15-1 would be Baeza, but I just don't know that Baeza is going to have, the stamina to go out there and compete. Baeza is a little bit of a smaller horse. He's filled out a little bit, but did win the Penn Derby grade 1. Just don't know if he can compete with this field to get into the money or the winner's circle. So it's going to be Sovereignty. If Sovereignty runs, it's going to be Forever Young, and then I'm going to go Sierra Leone and Fierceness under that.
Yeah, and I think more than likely those blurbs, that's the old, I'd rather be first than right, because again, there's a very good shot, because even William Mott's interview today, it wasn't he is running on Saturday. It's more of we got his temperature stabilized. We got, the first half of blood work back. We're waiting on the other half, and obviously he didn't go into too deep of details. But it's definitely one to at least keep an eye on. And if Sovereignty does run, just know maybe, hey, it's been a bit of a tougher week than normal. But, if Sovereignty goes out and runs, maybe we'll, instead of saying it's the Jordan flu game, maybe we'll say it's the Sovereignty flu race going forward.
There you go.
But yeah, I think it would be a shame if Sovereignty doesn't run here. But as you mentioned, William Mott isn't going to put this horse out there just to see what happens. It's only a 3-year-old as well, and the kind of the elephant in the room of horse racing right now is the amount of money that breeding is making. So a lot of these horses, it's no guarantee we're going to see these horses run at 4-year-olds. But, there might be an opportunity that if for whatever reason, God forbid, Sovereignty does scratch, maybe in a weird sort of way for the long-term longevity of Sovereignty. Maybe they say, all right, well, maybe we're going to retire it this year, but let's try and win the Classic next year. Who knows? But, just kind of thinking out loud there. I think this is going to be this is one of the most wide open classics, even though Sovereignty is 6-5. I understand that. But I think you can make a case for really, like you said, Forever Young, and Sierra Leone, and even our 15-1 shots. I mean, I'm looking at Baeza. The only time Baeza doesn't get into the winner circle is when Journalism or Sovereignty aren't in
That's
here.
it.
There's nothing to sneeze about there. That doesn't mean you're a bad horse. It just means you might be the 3rd or 4th best horse in the world, which also not too bad, especially at 15-1. to 1. Wow, we are about 96 hours away from the Saturday session of the Breeders' Cup. Obviously, Friday will be the future stars that you all should definitely put in some work. Check those out as well. I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend at Del Mar. And if you're there Friday, make sure you go try and find Raider Jim. He is a social butterfly, so he will be everywhere out there. But